I got addicted to drugs and alcohol at a young age and didn't have a wonderful childhood with my dad being an alcoholic. And so I got to school and I didn't really have a lot of coping mechanisms to deal with this shit. And so I just levitated towards drugs and alcohol and kind of like fixed that, right? It felt like that was my temporary solution to this long-term problem. Something didn't feel right inside me, and so I gravitated towards using drugs and alcohol to fix something within me. And so I dropped out of school, I moved to LA to get sober, and from there I started to kind of grow up a little bit. It was my first introduction to really becoming self-supporting and like no longer needing money from my parents to pay for my rent or my car. I started picking up jobs at like restaurants, ended up working in treatment, and at 21, I felt like I kind of had hope in my life for the first time, where I was no longer using drugs and alcohol. I was paying my own bills. I started to find hobbies and things that made me feel really alive and excited to be alive. And then I knocked up a stranger and got this chick pregnant. And all of that came crashing down really quick. And at 22, I had this baby with this person that I didn't know. And I made the decision for myself that I would be able to live with myself, knowing that there's a kid out there that didn't have a father because of me. And so whatever was going to come, whatever issues were going to come up in the future with this woman, she has her own issues and has her own drug and alcohol problem and her own traumas. And she had this idea that we were going to be together. And I didn't want that at all. I didn't know this person. I just got her pregnant. And all of a sudden, there's this kid that's mine. And so I decided that I would just deal with whatever came with that situation. And about 6 months into my daughter's life, I lost my job. My roommate moved out. And I kind of was sitting there with like a couple $1,000s to my name, having this fucking 6-month-old kid. And I reached out to my cousin at the time, who had offered me a job years before. And he's like, yo, what's up, dude? How you doing? We caught up. And I was like, hey, bro, is that offer still available by any chance? I kind of need a job. He was like, for sure. I'm actually just opening up an office in Long Beach. You should cruise through and check it out when you want to start. And I said, I'll come by tomorrow. That day after was my birthday. I turned 23 and I got introduced to door-to-door sales. And I showed up, and within a week I told him, I'm like, hey, actually, not only do I need a job, but I need a place to live too. And so I moved into his apartment. I slept in the fucking closet on the mat that I have upstairs right now, with little 4 inches of foam. And I learned what we do here, which is door-to-door sales, right? I learned the process. I learned how to create value, how to provide a solution to something. I learned how to really talk to people. And it opened me up to basically learn how to really communicate with the world and with the people that we interact with, right? And 8 months go by, and all of a sudden now this job fucking hits the fan, and we all get fired from this security job. And that's the time that I met Peyton. So I started to get together with Peyton. I already knew Taylor at the time. And so Taylor took Dylan, myself, and then added Peyton to the scenario. And this idea of Swave kind of came about. I'd never knocked a door for solar. I had no idea what solar was. I had no idea what the pitch was, but I knew that I could go out and knock on somebody's door and make money from doing that. I knew that was a possibility. I knew that was something that I could do, right? I just didn't know if that was something I could do regarding solar. And so for 3 months, we all got our teeth kicked in figuring out this area in Fallbrook, Hamlet, Temecula. And 3 months before 2022, we started to get the ball rolling, right? We got a deal in, another deal started to come in, and within about 4 months, we had maybe 20 installs that I was setting all the leads for.
Were you guys working every day for 3 months, or was it just on and off?
It was more consistent than what I do now, for sure. But again, I had my daughter that I was responsible for, and so my schedule was always a little bit different. I'm sure that Peyton was probably working a lot more consistent than I was, but I would probably show up for a week at a time and fucking focus. I'm going to take a weekend off and come back for another week. Because again, it is about learning the process. You have to do it over and over again to create the momentum. But we started to get a little bit of success. I still hadn't made any money. Taylor was actually fronting me money every single month to pay my child support bills at that time. I was still sleeping on the ground. There's many times that I didn't have enough money to put gas in my tank to fill it all the way up. Every time that I had my daughter, I'd have to take her to my mom's house or my dad's house. But we started to get a little bit of success, and then COVID hit. The pandemic shut the entire service industry down. We were no longer able to go door to door because people would not fucking open their doors at all. And somehow we still were able to get a couple deals from that. But after things really started happening in April and May, it was like I can't keep knocking on doors telling people that I'm vaccinated and I'm wearing a mask. Oh shit, just wasn't working. And then all of a sudden I started getting solar checks. And that month I made more money from solar than I did my entire life, any year before, working as a counselor in a treatment facility, working full-time in restaurants. I made more money in a month from not doing solar. And I kind of just decided, you know what, that's good for me for now. We'll see how this COVID thing happens. Everybody didn't have any money. All of a sudden I just had more money than I knew what to do with, right? And what started to happen was I started to go back to these old behaviors, these old patterns of dealing with problems by using people, places, and things to fix my inner issues, right? And all of a sudden I'm drinking every day, I'm smoking weed, I'm taking pills again, I'm addicted to the same things that I did as a kid to deal with fucking issues and problems. And my relationship started to fail. The relationship I had with my daughter and my mom started to fail. And at that point, it was maybe 8 months into 2022, we did a trip out to Bakersfield. And we decided that, solar wasn't really good enough for me in my position. Peyton continued to do solar. And at that point, that's when I met Chase. And for me, because I needed quicker money, I went back to security. I knew that I could sell security. Every deal that I sold that week, I would get paid that week on, right? So I went to Vivint, started doing security sales again with Vivint. And the whole time they were kind of doing their own thing, trying to figure out what was going on. Peyton was still selling. Peyton was making his own leads, closing his own deals, surviving his own way. And for me, I had to get something that I was going to get a quicker exchange for. And I signed up to do a summer with Vivint, and Jake and I went out to Texas to do Vivint, and same with the Sway guys, they came too. And again, for me, it was really, really difficult because I was balancing these two lives. I was never really 100% in. I was never completely focused on what I was doing because I had all this fear about being a dad. I had this kid back in California that I'd have to come back to every single month to spend time with. And then I'd have to come back to Texas and sell security to continue to get that motivation and that, to keep the ball rolling. Like it would take 3 to 4 days for me to knock doors, get my teeth kicked in, to get one deal to then be like, okay, I'm good to go. And then I would sell for the next 2 weeks, but then I'd have to leave and go back home to California. And during that time, I was living with my chick, my ex-girlfriend, so I was with this person that was not healthy. It was a very toxic relationship. There was a lot of communication, mental health issues, but also at the same time, looking at my own behavior, I am self-centered at my core. And if I'm uncomfortable with something, I'm going to find a solution to that. And what I tend to draw to when I'm not really healthy as an individual, when I'm not mentally, spiritually, emotionally healthy, I go to drugs and alcohol. That's my solution. I fucking drink and do drugs to make me feel better today. I avoid shit by doing that, right? I don't actually address anything. I'm basically putting a Band-Aid over a fucking scar that needs some real attention, right? And so that whole time over summer, I had a really shitty summer. Like you said, you sold 80 your rookie year. I think I sold 50, bro. They were big accounts. I made enough to support myself enough, right? But I was not successful in my summer with it. And I came back, and my relationship was on the rocks, and eventually that shit ended. And now all of a sudden, I'm out on the streets. I'm living out of my car. No longer sleeping in a closet. I'm sleeping in my car. This morning when I was taking a shower at 24, I was reminded that I used to go to 24 to shave and shower. Not even work out, just to go fucking shave and shower, have somewhere that I could clean myself up to feel a little bit better about myself. But at that time in my life, I was then 24, 25, still have a kid. Now I'm fucking homeless. I know I can make money somehow, but never really being committed, not really being focused in this thing. And again, it was a turning point in my life where I had to really take a look at myself and be really clear on what the fuck do I want, right? Like, what do you guys want out of life? Like, there's always going to be fear. There's always going to be financial stuff. Like, we need money to survive, right? We need money to pay for these things to get us to point A to point B. I spent money at Airbnbs and hotels when I didn't have a place to live. I lived out of my car, hotels, Airbnbs, in the parking lot at the beach. I had to take a step back and look at my life and really determine, where do I want to go? Because the more that I focused on this negative shit, the more that I attached to like these problems, like I wasn't getting anywhere, right? And so today, what Peyton asked me to talk about was like manifesting, mindfulness, and what has changed my life in the last year, to where I can come up here 1 to 2 days a week, sell a deal, go home, and go back to my life of being a dad, being a boyfriend. I have my own apartment today. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. I have my daughter 40% of the time. I get to enjoy my life today, and what really has changed, it's not that I started working out and I eat healthier and all that shit. Like, that really isn't it. That's not the big differences. The big difference is what's between my ears, what's going on between my ears, and how I feel about myself, right? Today is all about, like, the focus, the attention that you guys put into your day-to-day life is more important than so many things. It's fucking crazy how significant. If you tell yourself that today I'm gonna have a great day, and you believe it, and you know that there's gonna be people that you're gonna deal with that are assholes, you're gonna get no's, you're gonna get objections, you're gonna fucking knock somebody up, you're gonna have problems in life come up. But if you know that today I'm taken care of, today I can handle whatever's gonna come, then you'll get through whatever it is, right? And so what this practice has done for me is, I started to journal a lot more. I started to connect with my thoughts, with my intentions, and with my heart, right? You guys have heard probably before, but the longest distance you will ever take, the longest trip you will ever go on, is between your head and your heart. And that trip is not an easy one, but it takes patience, it takes comfort, it takes calming yourself and knowing that if I do the work, something's going to change, right? And I've been watching these videos on Jim Carrey. You guys know who that is? He's a famous actor.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey used to live out of his car. He was homeless at like 17 with his family. He always was in theater and doing fucking arts. And there's videos of him doing stand-up comedy when he was like fucking $120, like so small, so skinny. But what he ended up doing was he got into this visualization. He got into these affirmations. And it's a daily practice. It's just like meditation that Jake has talked about, Peyton's talked about. It's a practice. It's a muscle you have to build. It's not something you can just start doing and you see immediate results like that, right? Life-changing results. It's something that you have to maintain and continue to put effort into. But this guy Jim Carrey, he used to drive up to, when he moved to LA, he was homeless and living out whatever the fuck he was doing. But he was looking for work. He would drive up the hill to the Hollywood Hills. And he would stare out at all the mansions, at the Hollywood sign, all the fucking fancy cars, and he would affirm to himself out loud that I am successful, I am a millionaire, I own properties, I travel the world, I'm the most famous actor in the world. And he would continue to affirm this until he actually believed it himself. And that just takes repetition, right? You will always, like my experience, I've always had that doubt, that fear, that self-sabotaging thought that I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I'm not successful. I can't make money doing this. Like I don't know if today I'm going to be able to close deals, right? That thought can always be available. But if that's something that I focus on, then it will continue to manifest itself, right? Mm-hmm. And so this guy's up on the hill affirming to himself that he's the most successful person. He's a millionaire. He's made it. And he wouldn't leave until he actually believed it himself. And he would drive down that hill knowing that he's a fucking famous. And one day he wrote himself a $10 million check And within a couple of years, he got a deal for one movie for $10 million, and he paid himself that check, right? So it's these small things that I've implemented into my life where journaling allows me to clear my mind before I meditate. When I meditate, I'm not just looking for the absence of thought. I'm not just trying to like get Zen or become Buddha. For me, I have to focus my thought in order to get anything out of it. And so for me, but after I clear my head, I'm able to then meditate for 5 minutes and visualize what I'm going to go through. The last couple of months, what has really been a game changer for me, because I mean, I was on this schedule where I'd come out here and work 5-6 days a week when I came back to doing solar this year. And it just was difficult for me to continue with the momentum, to keep the energy high, to keep the vibes high, to be focused, right? And I found what's worked for me, and what works for me might not work for you, right? That's the beautiful thing about this. Like, Jake was like, oh yeah, we need to have everybody write this down. And like, that's not the point. Like, if you're not convinced that you should do something different, if you're not convinced, if you're not in the position that you want something better, if you want something different, like, I can't force you to do shit. Like, these guys can only give you the structure that allows you to grow and to build healthy habits. But if you're not the one putting in the effort, if you're not the one putting in the intention to become a better person, to grow, to be successful, to make a shitload of fucking money, to have whatever you dream of having, it doesn't matter, right? You have to have that motivation. You have to put in the effort. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys you need to meditate, you need to visualize, you need to do affirmations, you have to tell yourself in the mirror that you're going to have a great day today, regardless of the people that you run into, right? Like, it's all the energy that you put into it. And I found for me that when I sit down and I write out whatever's going on in my head, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, the shit I'm dealing with my girlfriend, the shit I'm dealing with my baby mama, the fact that I didn't have enough money to fucking pay off my credit card bills when I came back to doing solar for 2 months, right? Like, I had bills stacking up that I could not pay. But if I focus on that, it's only going to get worse. So if I write down whatever's in my head, it clears my passage to be present and actually take use of what visualization and meditation can give you, right? And I sit down and I think about how today I'm going to meet with this family. I don't even know what the fuck they look like. I don't know their name. I don't know what the house looks like, but I have a feeling, right? Because if you have a thought with no emotion, it's aimless. It's not going anywhere. And same thing, if you have an emotion with no thought attached to it, there's no direction. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just one or the other. But if you have a thought and you attach emotion to it, from there it's like it's a bullet to reality, right? It allows you to then put that into existence. Manifesting is this thing that my mom used to tell me before I got sober, before I had a kid, and I would always just shrug it off like, you're fucking full of shit. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, how does that really work, right? And it wasn't until that I decided to just give it a try, not even believing it, but just giving it a try, that I started to see some results. And the first day that I came out here after I was on vacation for like 3 weeks, I didn't work at all. Probably the first time that I met a couple of you guys. I came out here and I did my morning routine. I wrote, I sat down and I visualized that today I'm gonna go knock some doors and I'm gonna find this family. And I had this emotion attached to that thought that this family was gonna be accepting. It might be a little bit difficult to crack at the beginning, but that I have all the answers to their objections. I know how to overcome whatever they're gonna give me. I have all of that within me. And I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna close that deal. I made 15 grand off of that family. That one deal, that one day. And for me, that was enough proof to where now if I don't have a great day, it's probably because I didn't sit down and I didn't affirm to myself that I'm capable of doing this job, that I'm capable of making money, that I'm capable of dealing with any problems that come up in my life, right? I probably didn't write, I probably didn't journal my thoughts because my thoughts can get pretty fucking crazy up here. And I definitely didn't meditate. I didn't sit down and visualize what can be my reality, right? And what I found the connection to be is the energy and the intention that I bring to this practice of mindfulness, meditation, manifesting, journaling. The intention, the action of doing it allows me to then literally create that reality in the day. It's that simple. It's not like I'm waiting for this family to come. No, I'm getting that family to come to me. Like, I'm going to find that family. And yesterday I knocked 4 doors and said it sold a $10,000 deal. Like that. I just didn't leave, right? I knew that this family was there for, I was going to be there to help them. They're out there. These people, these customers, your life is available to you. Whatever you want, the freedom that you want, the money that you want, the goals that you want. If you want to make $20,000 this year, you better fucking quadruple that because you can make more. This is your guys' opportunity to apply these things that have been around for generations. Mindfulness, meditation, manifesting, they've been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Our species, humans, have used these practices to gain freedom from delusional fear, gain freedom from delusional desire, right? They've been able to create our life, whatever you want, from this practice. And so it's not like time to start fucking meditating. Let's sit down and meditate for 10 minutes, right? You have to make the time for yourself, right? You have to put in the energy. You have to give it the actual respect that it deserves because it's fucking available to you, right? If Jim Carrey can do it and literally send himself a $10 million check and in a couple of years, literally get one deal, right? You guys are one deal away from something that will change your life. If he can do it for $10 million, I can do it. If I can do it for 15 grand, you guys can fucking do it. It's that simple, right? But it has to be something that you're gonna try and you believe in. Because I'm not gonna force you guys to do shit, right? We can wake up and fucking take a walk every day. We can wake up and go to the gym. But if you're not actually in there to give it all, to fucking push yourself and to grow as an individual, you're not gonna get any results. I mean, it's just that simple. And for me, I've struggled a lot on the doors with the lack of focus, with the lack of motivation, with doubting myself for hours, for days, for weeks, for years. I've been doing this job now, door-to-door sales, for 5 years. I took 1 year off to sell weed to dispensaries, and honestly, I made just shy of 100 grand selling weed to dispensaries, and it was fucking boring, dude. I hated it. I worked like 30 hours a week, and it was fucking miserable, dude. It was not something that made me feel alive, that made me excited to wake up to do the job. Like today, if you don't feel fucking stoked to get out there, then you gotta change something. Something's not right, right? Because again, like if Peyton comes out here, Jake comes out here, Brent comes out here every day, and they're not stoked to do it, they're not gonna fucking sell, right? If I come out here and I'm not excited or I don't believe that I can do this, it's a waste of my fucking time. Why am I here, right? And it's not always that I 100% know that I'm getting a deal today. Because best believe when I'm driving for 2 hours from LA after not working for 6 days, there's a lot of thought. Like, fuck, maybe today I won't get one. Maybe today I'm not going to be the same day killer, right? Maybe today it's not going to be that. That is very normal. But I give more energy to the fact that I know that there's a deal out there that I'm going to help close. Today I can fucking go find somebody that I'm going to fucking sell, right? And believing it and knowing that if there's fear and doubt, repeating it will continue to make me believe that until it's literally a reality. Until I'm in a house at 4 o'clock, right? So I'm definitely very grateful for where I've come from being somebody that didn't want to be a dad to then being a single dad to being homeless to having my own place. To not having enough money to pay my bills, to not having more money than I've ever had in my life, from working fucking 2 days a week. Right? Like, I'm very grateful. I definitely don't share this or tell you guys any of this to be like, I'm better and puff my ego out because, like, I still have my own shit to deal with, right? I have my own baggage, I have my own cost to bear. But today I found that there's tools available to me that help me fucking succeed in life. And it's that simple. Right? So, I mean, for you guys, like, you have to find something that really is going to get you fired up, and you have to do something that's going to continue to build that muscle to grow this practice, whatever that is. Some people, they find meditation and just go to the gym, right? Some people can wake up and just go fucking sell. I'm not one of them, dude. I'm not that person that can just wake up and just do this job super easy, right? Like, this is not an easy job. It can be very, very difficult. But it can also be when I'm, like I've found in my experience, when I'm aligned, when I'm positive, when I'm consistent, when I'm confident, when I know that something is out there for me, it's the fucking easiest job in the world, dude. It's like, shit just falls in my lap.
So, question. So, I wrote down here thought plus emotion equals manifest. So like if you want to manifest a chill family, what are you thinking, and then what's your emotion when you're trying to manifest like a family that you can vibe with? Are you thinking about that, or are you just thinking about like present? You're being present in the moment, or like, I guess when do you try to manifest this family that you're gonna?
Well, who has had an experience where they come up to a door, the timing's right, the person happens to be talking to somebody already before, it seems like they were expecting you to show up.
Yes.
Has anybody had that experience?
Twice.
Right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Right? No? No?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah?
A lady answered the first one?
So, what does that feel like?
It's like they're waiting for me.
Right? It feels like things are aligned, right?
Yes.
It feels like things, you're not swimming against the stream, you're not going against the grain, there's no resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Something is working in our favor to be there.
Mm.
That's the emotion. The thought is that I'm gonna knock a door today and this person's gonna be waiting for me, and that's that feeling that I apply to it, right? Is that there's no resistance. Is that this is easy. All I do is just talk to people, right? And what I found works best for me is really just being present with them. Is just knowing that they have to trust me. I can fucking help their situation. I can help anybody, but not everybody's gonna trust me. Some do it, some don't, so what? So I have to find somebody that's going to. And so I know that I have to build their trust, I have to be present with them, look them in the eye, be honest about who I am, where I'm coming from, right? Have integrity with what we do, because what we do is we actually help people. It's a service that we can provide if they trust us, because we're really not selling the product, we're not selling solar. You're selling yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're absolutely selling yourself, because if they don't fucking trust you, they're not giving you their help, right? And there's a lot of things that they've gone over dozens and dozens of times to help you build trust and to overcome objections and to make jokes, to break down their walls, to break preoccupation. All those things need to be applied, but I can't fucking pick up that tool. I can't pull that one out if I'm not present. If I'm not there with them, I'm just not going to pull the right one. I'm going to pull something that doesn't work and it's another door closed, right? That's a good question. What do you got, Pete?
I have a couple takeaways of like what you just said, like the meditating. Basically, in the morning, what you're doing is you're practicing being present and setting yourself up in the habit of being present. So when you do get that opportunity, then you're easier to be present because that's what you've been doing all day. Present. I feel like another thing that's good that kind of add to is like when you're at the beginning of the day, you kind of said it in a different way, but like what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to control the day and attack the day instead of the day happening to you. You're just like saying that. But my question was, like, how long is that morning routine for you of like the meditation and the journaling? And then kind of the same question he had, which you had asking like what the example of the emotion was, which I feel like you answered really well, just that feeling of alignment. But what are some other examples of the affirmations you tell yourself?
So, like the first one, how long is it taking to
Yeah.
see results?
Well, no, how long? Like, how long does it take you in the morning? Like 10 minutes, an hour?
Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes of just mindfulness focus where
So you only meditate for like 5 minutes and you journal for like 5 minutes?
You did journaling before.
I journal before. I found that helps me out. Some people do it the other way around. Chase meditates in the morning as soon as he wakes up.
Yeah, I did the opposite. I meditated and journal.
For me, like as soon as I wake up, dude, I'm fucking firing, bro. There's fucking baby mama shit. There's fucking money shit. There's just so much that goes on, right? Like, and so it's really helpful for me to just clear that out, just get it out, and then fucking set my time for 5 minutes. And the affirmations that I've been introducing are these.
I think it's sort of all like the emotion is just like a feeling of alignment. Everything's gonna work out. It's gonna work out perfectly when it happens. I'll be present.
Yeah, I've always thought of on my own listening. Oh shit, it's all working out. can I do to fix things versus I have my mindset that things are going to work out.
Yeah.
This is just not possible.
Yeah, like I expect there to be no's and problems, but I'm gonna find.
Yeah.
So it's like the law of
So I would
it's like the law of polarity.
Oh wait, after you answer.
Yeah. So there was one day, probably the hardest lead that I've gotten this year. The Bruce Koenig, the most objections, the most no's. I'm not fucking buying. I'm not interested. You can fuck off. Like the hardest guy to crack. That morning up, I drove out here, and same thing. I set my intention. I meditated. I found that today I can deal with whatever's going to be thrown at me. Like I have that in my bank. I have the tools for it. I'm just going to fucking handle it when it comes. And it was the first door I knocked to this dude for 45 minutes was no, fuck off. I'm not interested. We're not doing it. We're not buying. I'm not getting solar. You name it, bro. He kept it coming. And the things that I'm telling myself is everything works out for me. Everything works out for me. Everything that I am wanting, everywhere I go, things are lining up for me. Right? So everything works out for me is a mantra that I've kind of just created recently. It's just like when I'm aligned, when I find there's no resistance, like we were talking about, walking up to that one family, everything works out for me. Because that's all it is. It's like that is available. There's hundreds of thousands of homes just in this area where everything is going to line up. Everything is going to be there. But if I'm fucking worrying about if I can do this job, if I'm sick of hearing the no's, if I'm feeling sorry for myself, I'm going to miss that one. Big time. I'm missing that deal that day, right? Everything works out for me. Everything that I'm wanting, everywhere I go, things are lining up for me. I love how I'm in the right place at the right time. I love how these ideas just flow to me. I like this world in which I live in and all the opportunities that present themselves to me and the path of no resistance. I love all the opportunities that are coming to me and I know that they will always be available to me. I love my ability and timing to receive them. I'm loving how tuned into the frequency I am. Everything works out for me, right? Everything fucking works out for me. When I'm focused, when I'm aligned, when I'm present, everything fucking works out. I don't always feel like that, right? I'm not fucking saying I'm not Buddha, but it's this practice, this channeling this energy and putting it somewhere, attaching that thought to that motion to create that reality has been fucking game changing, dude. And really, I mean, I started seeing results probably within a week or 2 weeks ago.
Do you watch anyone on YouTube where you get this meditation?
Not really.
No, it's just all from.
Not really, yeah. I mean, I know that I want more things. I want more success. I want more freedom. I want financial freedom. I don't want to worry about money. I don't want to worry about money in 5 years, right? Because my whole life I've lived paycheck to paycheck. I've slept on the fucking ground. I've slept in the car. I've used 24-hour gyms, right? I haven't had a stable roof over my head. I haven't had stable income. I've been behind on bills and credit cards. So I don't want to continue to live like that, right? And I know that I want more. So how can I open up my mind? Because I mean, I've heard a lot of things where like you're not going to make the money that you want until you're actually in a position to receive it.
Yes.
Until you're in a place mentally, spiritually, physically to receive it, you're not going to get what you want.
Can you say that again? You're not going to get the money you want
Until you're in a position to receive it.
Until you're in a position and a place to receive it. Like you're just not going to get it. Because if it's all out of fear, if it's all out of desire, right, Rich Dad Poor Dad, if it's fear that's driving my desires, if it's fear that's driving my goals, I'm not going to obtain those goals. If it's this desire that I need it in order to be happy, I'm not going to get it. But if I'm in a position to where I'm grateful for what I have, I know that I'm going to be taken care of. I have this belief that everything fucking works out for me. 15 grand, 10 grand, 8 grand, 6 grand. Fucking keep paying me, bro. Right? It's everything fucking works out for me.
Because gratitude is the ultimate form of receivership.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you believe that you already have it, then you're going to attract more of it. You know? What would be your recommendation to get someone to? I heard you talking about frequency and the tune.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people know about frequency and like the Earth's frequency and like we're all vibrations.
Mhm.
Could you touch on that a little
Sure.
bit? Or do you know anything about
Sure.
it?
Again, I think it starts from some kind of experience, right? It has to be something that you've experienced before, where there isn't fear of the future, there isn't regret about the past. You're present. You feel like things are the way that they're supposed to be. You're enjoying the people you're around. That feeling, that experience that comes from that. Like what's the common denominator in those experiences? If it's from me to Ryder to Tough to Jenny, like the common denominator is that there's some kind of balance. There's some kind of frequency where there's not this fear. There's not these outside obstacles that are distracting us. We're present, right? There's this alignment where I found like if I'm worried about money, if I'm worried about these things, like I'm trying to manage and control them with all of my might, and I still can't fucking make it work. And it's not until I let go of that and give up these expectations and give up controlling the results, like because Brett can attest to it. We can have expectations and going into a lead or a deal, and they can be fucking great. It could be a fantastic presentation. They're fucking on board. Credit fails. You can't control that. That's something that we cannot control. And it's really easy to be attached to these uncontrollables, but that frequency comes when it's really clear what's in our control. What's in our control is our attitude and our actions. If I take the actions to set myself up to have the right attitude, everything works out for me. Everything fucking works out for me.
And you can't really talk from your heart if you're always worried about in a different type of vibration, like a survival vibration. You can't really speak from the heart. So yeah, how would you say to align yourself? How would you do that? Do you guys know how to do that through like meditation and all that stuff? Do you know how to do so? Like how would you, what would you visualize?
So what I do is I write down what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. I get it out on paper, so it's no longer bouncing between my ears.
Yeah, like a pad.
So it's on paper. Then I sit down and I focus my thought on these affirmations, on manifesting, on visualization. That I am capable of dealing with this stuff, right? It's that simple. Like it's just what I've already talked about. I bring it back because some days I start the day and I feel like that. I have this meditation, visualization. I start the day by fucking 6 o'clock, getting all the no's, all the uncontrollables, all the bad timing. I fucking lose my steam and I feel like fuck. What the hell am I doing, right? And if I don't do anything about it, if I think I can just let that go away, it'll just disappear. I'm just gonna waste another fucking 40 hours, 3 hours, the day's gone, right? And so taking action, you have to do something about it, right? The only thing in my control is my attitude and my actions. That's it. Well, I can't control what you do. I can't control what the weather does. I can't control what these neighbors will say to me. I can control my attitude and my actions. If I take actions that help me control my attitude, everything fucking works out. So writing stuff down, getting stuff out on paper, getting it out, and then focusing what I am supposed to do today. Like what I'm here to do is I'm here to fucking close deals. I'm not here to fuck off. I'm not here to jack off in the shower. I'm not here to just go to the gym and get free food, right? I'm not here to just make enough money to survive. I'm here to fucking take full advantage of this opportunity to where I don't have to fucking worry about money next year. I don't have to worry about money in 5 years, right?
So one thing that I struggle with is, like, this is the last year my life has changed so dramatically. Like I kind of like let go of my friends back at home, things like that, and like I'm at a crossroads between is this the right path? Is this the path that I was destined to be, or like just the unknowing? Like what would you recommend? Like I know this is a good path, but do I have to let go of the other paths to fully commit, or?
Well, if you're living between both, you're not present. So if whatever is blocking you from being present, if that's letting go of this idea of maybe I should do this, right? That's just doubt. That's doubt in that this is the right path. That you're basically saying that you're not supposed to be where you are. You're basically saying that nothing works out for you, right? Like my timing is always bad. And if you believe that, well then it's gonna be true, right? But if you're present and you're just taking advantage of this, like that opportunity, whatever else is out there, that you thought of that you think might be the right path, like that opportunity is still available to you. Even if you fucking make 200 grand this year and commit to this, even if you focus and be present and do this really well, that's still there. You can go back to that, right? I don't know what the future holds for me. I have no idea, bro. But the more that I worry about it, right? I just saw this thing. It's like this. It's like a military guy, and he read this book because they asked him like, how do you like manage expectations to not make like a molehill into a mountain, right? Because it's simple analogies. It's like if you're looking up at the mountain, you did a 15-mile hike. And if we stood at the bottom and looked at the top of the mountain that we were going to climb to, we'd probably say, fuck this, right? But instead, it was just taking one step in front of the other, one more step, one more step, one more step, and fucking 4 hours later, we're at the top of this fucking mountain, right? And it's just, it's not being blinded by the ugliness of some of the trees to really take advantage of the beauty of life that we have, right? We have an amazing life to live. We've been given a gift to be alive today that not everybody can say that they have, right? I mean, I've had fucking 4 friends die this year, people that I knew, our age, dead, right? Like, I'm grateful that we are blessed to be alive. And so if I can just focus on what I can do today to get myself one step farther, if I can focus on just today, my attitude and my actions, simplify this shit, bro. Simplify it, because it's good to have goals. It's good to say I want to get to the top of the mountain, but knowing that you're going to have to climb 3,000 feet is a lot harder to grasp and to accept than just taking one step in front of the other to get there, right? So, yeah, if you're struggling between these two ideas, you're not going to get either of them, right? You're just not going to get either of them, right? You're going to half-ass this, thinking about that, and you're not going to get that because you're half-assing this currently, right? So if it's more of what am I doing today, right? Like these opportunities, everything's available to us. Like whatever path we're supposed to be on, we're already on it. The hardest part is knowing that we're on it, and accepting it, and loving it, and cherishing it, taking advantage of it. That's the fun. So you have to take advantage of today, because dude, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You know, like. I got into Stoicism a couple years ago. And Stoicism is a Greek philosophy, and it talks about the delusion that we have an eternity to live. That we have a whole life ahead of us, so we can relax today. We can rest on our laurels today. We don't have to put in the work. We don't have to take care of ourselves. We don't have to challenge our bodies, our minds. We don't have to align ourselves spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. We have plenty of life ahead of us. And most people out in this world suffer from that delusion that they have plenty of life to live, and so they miss living it today. Their whole lives go past them, and they can't look back on their life and say, "Fuck, dude, I'm so stoked I did this. I had an incredible journey." Right? So it's really, I found, to simplify things, having tools to re-engage, to refocus, being really clear on what's in my control, what's out of my control. Has absolutely changed my life this year. Absolutely changed my life. This year I've only been selling solar since February. So it's not like I just fucking I've been doing it nonstop for 10 years of paying this.
So it's easy for me to focus for like 3 days and give it my all. But once we get into like day 5, day 4, I start just like, fuck, you know? Even if I sell, it's like, fuck, day 4, day 5, I'm like, fuck. So like, I guess I just have to work more, get the muscle stronger, just like working out, just keep working more. But like, what do you do when you're just like, oh, I got some money in the bank, like, shit, it's a 118, fuck. Like, how do you get after it?
Yeah, so I think for me, and everybody is different. That's why, like, I'm not saying like, okay, now we're gonna start the timer. We're all gonna meditate, visualize, and affirm ourselves today, right? Like, you have to find something that works for you, right? And like, I've happened to find my stride my balance, my work within short bursts, right? And like Jake made a shitload of money last year from working nonstop, non-fucking stop. So he knows, like Jake and I are very different. Like we have a lot of similarities, but we're very different in the way that we see ourselves, we perceive life, we take action, we do these things, right? Everybody's individual. So you have to find what works for you. And so, yeah, I don't know the answer to your question. It might be, yeah, you need to commit more. You need to take a step back and refocus every day and start with this intention and meditate, whatever, right? Like maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is, yeah, 3-day bursts. You know, but for me, like I found that sometimes I have desire, like it can be diluted with like a delusional desire that like maybe I have enough money, I'm good, and so it's that same thing where I'm just actually resting on my laurels. I'm not actually focusing on today. I'm not actually aligning myself to actually attach to that frequency, to get involved with that frequency, because it's a self-delusion that I can relax, right? And so it's very particular. That's why when you read, when you write, and you meditate, you get very clear on what your intentions are. You're very clear on, actually my intention is to fuck off for more than a week and only work 3 days because I don't want to go through hardship anymore, right? And once that's clear to you that might be your reality, and it's easier to just say, fuck it, I have enough money, like I'm good, I don't need to make 250 grand this year, I'm good with 100, right? Whatever the case is, just an example. But it's just trying to be really clear with yourself and be honest with yourself. Because again, like, if you're lying to yourself, then you're gonna lie to everybody too, right? Like, if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anybody. And so for me, journaling has been an experience to really just practice rigorous honesty, where I'm at, what I'm feeling. And once it's out, I can really look at it rationally, logically, and say, you know what? This is fucking bullshit, dude. This is delusional. This is fear-based. This is desire to relax and fuck off and get those small moments of like solution, just like I did use with drugs and alcohol. But this time it's fucking money, it's women, it's fucking sex.
So it's winning in sex?
Women.
Women?
Uh,
Women is good.
just like it, like short-term desires and short-term satisfaction. It's not going to make me fucking stoked at the end of the year.
So would you recommend, like, if there are certain distractions in your life, you just completely cut it out?
Sure. I mean, it depends on what they are, right? Like, if it's relationships that are like draining, probably. If it's like a relationship with somebody important, like a baby mama, like I can't just cut out my baby mama, even though I fucking want to. I have to work with her. She's going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life, right? So I can't just say block her, right? That doesn't work, right? So I have to find a way to manage that relationship. But yeah, I mean, if for examples, like if smoking weed, if masturbating, if dissociating in any way, if those things are distracting you, you need to cut those. You just need to cut them.
You used to smoke some weed back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice a difference in your energy or anything, like from you quitting that, or like, do you notice the change and shift?
I mean, it's different for me because I identify as an addict, as an alcoholic. So my relationship to drugs and alcohol is probably not like everybody else's. So 100% I see the differences, 100%. But again, it's just, you have to find what works for you.
What are the differences that you saw? You just feel better?
100%. I no longer have this delusional idea that this is going to make me feel better and that I need this thing. Right? Like the attachment to something outside of myself, because again, what's in my control is my attitude and my actions. And so I'm attached to an outcome, an expectation, a closed deal, if I'm attached to weed making me feel better at the end of the night so I can sleep, that's a daily like solution that doesn't last the next day, right? Like the shower I took yesterday does not keep me clean today. The weed that I would smoke the day before, I would still need to smoke weed today, right? And that's not sustainable. It's just not something that's sustainable for me. The same thing with like fucking masturbating, watching porn all the time. Yeah, I feel good doing it. It feels really good. Afterwards, not so much.
Yeah, it feels like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I just wasted an hour, and I don't
It really,
feel
it
better.
actually, that energy that you lay off, that is sacred energy, right? You can actually use that to build energy within yourself and move it up in these meditations, to move it up your body, your spine, and into, out of your head.
I know this guy that stopped
And
watching
you can get more
porn, stopped
energy.
masturbating
Yeah.
completely for this whole year.
Yeah.
And he said he's never felt more confident, he's never felt more focused, he's never been more attentive, more clear
Yeah.
his entire life. He's never pulled more chicks in his entire life.
See, it's more dopamine.
It's
So
more
I
dopamine.
when you don't fall into the quick thrills like vaping or anything like that.
Right.
Testosterone.
So what would you recommend, like,
No jerking off for 9 days.
I think
Because on the 9th day, you get like some kind of crazy energy.
on the 9th day I just go crazy?
No. On the 9th day,
I
you'll
go like
have
5
powers.
times in a day.
On the 9th day, you'll have powers.
Okay. Well, yeah, like, I would say weed is more like, I've always kind of put like this notion of if I smoke weed, I can sleep better. And maybe that might be the thing holding me back. Like, how would you start getting into it, like attacking that, and be like, 'cause it'd be really hard for me to just cold cut and just stop. Now I'm kind of
Why?
addicted. I don't know. The nights that I
It might be difficult for the first 2 nights, 3 nights.
And then I just lay in bed, like, one day I didn't smoke weed, and I laid in bed till like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then, like, I sucked at work. The next day, I'm like, fuck, why did I do that? And
We
I
did
smoked.
this practice a couple months ago with Eric. I thought it was really great. We wrote down 5 goals that we have, and then we wrote down 5 things that are holding us back that we're willing to sacrifice, we're willing to give up to obtain these goals. So if you're not willing to sacrifice something to obtain a goal, that's on you. If you're willing to sacrifice it, everything will work out.
Well, how do you know that thing, what if it's not what's holding you back?
So you try it, I don't know. I don't have the answer for you.
When you prayed, did you have like your metabolism with it like
It's
hard
just
to
usually
eat something that we
For a little bit.
yeah, what did you do to like
Just your body adjusts itself. Your appetite comes back. That one's just longer to take than the rest of the week. But you still like you still need to eat, right? I mean, people fucking fast too, bro. Like, you could go 3 days without not eating anything, just drinking water. You'll survive.
Yeah.
You know, you'll probably feel better after the fast, right? But I think that's pretty much it. So if you guys have more questions, I'm an open book, dude. I have nothing to hide from you guys. If you feel like you want somebody to talk to, share some stuff, some fears, whatever, feel free to reach out. Feel free to talk to me. So, that's what I got.